James?
Lately, headhunting.
Alright, pause whatever you're doing right now and give me your full attention because 2026 is coming in hot. But what's so special about 2026 apart from GTA 6? Well, this isn't one of those years where a couple of big names carry the whole calendar. Studios are dropping full-scale AAA games that have been in development for years, and I can honestly feel the confidence behind them. Massive worlds, brutal combat, deep stories, and legacy franchises swinging for the fences. If you love games that take over your life for weeks, this list is going to hurt your schedule. Before we dive right in, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Alright, now let's get into it.
Such an ominous atmosphere, and one thick with the presence of Eratama.
Nioh 3. Starting this video off with something this intense feels like a statement. What's exciting here is that the series is finally stepping into a true open field structure, and from everything that's been shown so far, it looks like exploration is going to matter just as much as combat. Instead of hopping between isolated missions, you'll be moving through hostile villages, cursed paths, and yokai-infested regions tied to the Bakumatsu era, all while this mysterious force called the Crucible hangs over the world. I'm really curious to see how that central threat shapes the story, because it sounds like more than just a backdrop. The biggest shakeup for me is the ability to switch instantly between samurai and ninja combat styles. On paper, that opens up way more tactical freedom. You can go toe-to-toe with disciplined, stamina-heavy swordplay, then pivot into speed, evasion, and specialized techniques when things spiral out of control. I feel that kind of flexibility could completely change boss encounters. Nioh 3 is targeting a February 6th, 2026 release, and if Team Ninja nails the balance between open exploration and that trademark punishing combat, this could be one of the most demanding and rewarding action RPGs of the year. And from here, the scope of this video only keeps escalating.
Hello?
Resident Evil Requiem. Requiem is set for February 27th, 2026, and if this balance between story, horror, and action lands, it could redefine what modern Resident Evil looks like. This game is clearly positioning itself as a major turning point for the franchise, and from what Capcom has outlined, it sounds like survivor horror is being pushed into darker, more emotional territory. The story pulls us back to Raccoon City, but not just for nostalgia. This time the focus is on uncovering buried truths behind the 1998 sterilization cover-up and the new wave of deaths spreading across the Midwest. But what really has my attention is the dual protagonist structure. You'll be switching between FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft, whose gameplay leans into investigation, deduction, and psychological horror, and Leon S. Kennedy, who brings that experienced, battle-hardened edge to high-pressure combat. I like that contrast a lot. It feels designed to keep the pacing unpredictable. Add in the option to freely swap between first-person and third-person perspectives, and it sounds like Capcom is letting players control how intimate or cinematic the fear gets.
The continent of Pywell. A land soaked in blood by the battles of those who seek peace and those who seek to shatter it.
Crimson Desert. After walking through claustrophobic hallways and haunted cities, the next step naturally swings the camera outward, straight into a massive fantasy continent that looks absolutely unforgiving. And honestly, how personal the journey is shaping up to be is immediately standing out. You're stepping into the boots of Cliff, a warrior whose entire world collapses after a devastating ambush wipes out the Greymanes. Well, this might sound like a revenge story, but I also feel it's about rebuilding a broken brotherhood while slowly uncovering a threat that seems far bigger than one faction war. From everything shown so far, Pywell feels like a true next-gen open world. You're riding horses across plains, you're climbing cliffs, gliding through the air, riding wolves, dragons, even machines, and slipping through mystical gates into the abyss itself. That verticality alone makes exploration feel way more dynamic than most open world RPGs. Combat is another area we're really watching closely. Fast, visceral fights with swords, spears, bows, elemental abilities, and large-scale battles suggest this is aiming for spectacle without sacrificing control. Crimson Desert launches on March 20th, 2026, and if Pearl Abyss delivers on this scale, this could be one of the most ambitious fantasy action games of the generation. And somehow, the next entry still manages to raise the stakes even higher. .007 First Light. This next game is like a full-on origin story, and that alone brings in all the hype. Instead of stepping into the shoes of an already polished legend, you're following a younger James Bond, still reckless, still learning, and very much unproven. I mean, that's an angle I really like because it gives the story room to show mistakes, consequences, and growth rather than just non-stop cool factor moments. The setup revolves around Bond being pulled into a revived 00 program after a heroic act, only for a mission involving a rogue agent to spiral into tragedy. It becomes a deeper conspiracy thriller, with Bond working alongside a reluctant mentor to stop a looming coup inside the state itself. That sounds far more grounded and political than what we usually get. Game-wise, IO Interactive is leaning hard into player choice, stealth, social infiltration, gadgets, fists, or full-on gunplay are all viable. And that Hitman DNA feels like a perfect fit here. And if this nails both espionage freedom and cinematic storytelling, it could finally deliver the Bond game fans have been waiting decades for. Pragmata. This one feels like Capcom deliberately slowing things down and asking players to think as much as they react. The setup drops you into a near-future lunar research station where something has clearly gone wrong. And instead of throwing waves of enemies at you, the tension comes from isolation, malfunctioning systems, and unanswered questions. You play as Hugh, an ordinary human trying to survive, alongside Diana, an android whose role goes far beyond being a companion. And let me tell you, combat is built around cooperation. While Hugh handles movement and gunplay, Diana hacks enemies' defenses in real time, breaking shields, exposing weak points, and forcing you to juggle action and strategy at once. From what's been shown, it looks like the core of every encounter. The lunar setting does a lot of heavy lifting too. Cold metal corridors, low gravity movement, and vast empty space outside the station give everything an eerie tone. Pragmata is set to launch on April 24th, 2026, and if Capcom sticks the landing, this could end up being one of the most distinctive AAA sci-fi experiences of the year.
Nation is paved with the souls of the willing. Soon, all of Sanctuary will be bathed in hatred.
Diablo 4, Lord of Hatred. Arriving on April 28th of 2026, this game is creating the moment where everything Diablo 4 has been building toward finally collides. The focus here is Mephisto himself, and from what Blizzard is setting up, this is not just another expansion. It feels like the true reckoning for Sanctuary. The story pushes players to the Scovos Isles, an ancient and dangerous region tied directly to Lilith, Inarius, and the earliest corruption of the world. I'm especially interested in how this region mixes volcanic terrain, sunken lands, and ruined temples, because it sounds far more hostile and lore-heavy than anything we've explored so far. Skill trees are getting reworked, level caps are increasing, loot filtering is finally coming in, and classic ideas like set bonuses and heretic style crafting are making a return. Add in a completely reimagined endgame with customizable war plans and endless horde modes, and this feels like Diablo 4 being fully realized. And this feels like Diablo 4 being fully realized.
Lucia, do you know why you're here?
Bad luck, I guess.
Grand Theft Auto 6. Okay, I should have probably started my list with this one, but I can't afford to get my heart broken one more time. After multiple delays, we finally have a solid release date of November 19th. But honestly, you should take that release date with a grain of salt. I don't need to tell you about this one. The setting is Leonida, a Florida-inspired state packed with Vice City at its core. But what really fascinates me is how broad the satire sounds. Social media obsession, influencer culture, body cams, viral chaos, and that infamous Florida man energy are all baked directly into the world. At the heart of the story is a criminal duo, Jason and Lucia, and everyone is loving the Bonnie and Clyde dynamic rather than a lone anti-hero. Their relationship feels central, especially as a failed robbery drags them into a statewide conspiracy where survival depends on trust as much as firepower. The relationship feels central, especially as a failed robbery drags them into a statewide conspiracy where survival depends on trust as much as firepower. The world itself sounds massive and varied. Swamps, keys, ports, national parks, and dense urban sprawl, all designed to feel alive and reactive. Honestly, I think this is the release that reshapes expectations for open world games all over again. Marvel's Wolverine. A game as raw as this, with a grounded take on a hero who has always lived in the moral gray, instead of a globe-trotting spectacle, the experience looks centered on pain, memory, and the consequences of living too long. You're stepping into the life of Logan, a centuries-old mutant carrying both physical scars and emotional weight. And it's pretty impressive that Insomniac is leaning into a mature tone rather than superhero spectacle. From what's been confirmed, the story pulls heavily from Wolverine's comic mythology. Adamantium experimentation, inner conflict, and brutal close-quarters combat are at the core. Enemies like Mystique and Omega Red hint at a narrative that is personal, ruthless, and deeply tied to Logan's past. What excites me most is how Insomniac's action pedigree could translate into visceral combat that feels heavy and deliberate, not flashy for the sake of it. Marvel's Wolverine is targeting a late 2026 release on PlayStation 5, and this actually has the potential to become the definitive Wolverine game fans have waited decades for.
There he is, in all his finery. Cheers.
Fable. Now let's talk about a game that feels like a return to a tone the industry has honestly been missing for a while. You're heading back to Albion, but not the version frozen in nostalgia. This is a full reboot that's clearly trying to modernize the series while keeping its playful soul intact. From what's been shown, the world still leans into a fairy tale absurdity, moral choices, and that dry British humor, but wrapped in a far more detailed and contemporary RPG structure. Combat is shaping up to be flexible and expressive. You'll be swinging between melee weapons, ranged bows, and magic, all from a third-person perspective, which feels like a natural evolution of classic Fable mechanics. With Anna Miguel leading and writing, and characters like Humphrey, a retired hero dragged back into chaos, it sounds like the story is self-aware in the best way. Powered by the Forza Tech engine, The visuals look far beyond anything the series has done before, and it's coming for sure sometime in 2026. Gears of War E-Day. To wrap up the video, I wanted something that feels like pure AAA intensity. The kind of game that doesn't waste time with open world busy work and just drags you straight into the worst day imaginable. This one takes us back 14 years before the original, right to Emergence Day, not the "we've been at war for years" version of Sierra. The moment it all breaks. Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago are younger here, and that detail matters because the story is built around vulnerability, panic, and a brotherhood that hasn't been forged yet. It's set in Kelowna, a new city for the franchise, and the devs have been clear here that they want this to feel intimate even while the world is collapsing. They're leaning harder into horror again, and even basic locust drones are being redesigned to feel genuinely threatening, not just cannon fodder. Also, the promise of seeing the origin of the Lancer is such a smart lore hook. On top of that, it's confirmed to be more linear. Personally, I'm happy about that because classic Gears is at its best when every corridor feels like a trap. By the time 2026 wraps up, I honestly think we're going to look back at this year and remember where we were when these games were launched. These look like the kind of titles that dominate conversations, timelines, and group chats. Some will redefine their franchises, others will push expectations forward, and a few will probably start arguments that never end. Either way, if you're a gamer, this is the year you clear space, cancel plans, and lock in. If you like this video, make sure to smash the like button, and we'll see you in the next one.